Hello everyone, I'm Dre, a fantasy writer that loves putting things on tables and charts, and this is the science of fantasy. In this episode, we are going to talk about magic, specifically what differentiates its magic system and how to make your own unique. You may have heard before that there are only two or three or four or five or any other number of magic systems. In my opinion, this is fundamentally wrong. There is practically an infinity of magic system possibilities, and I'll show you why. According to my theory, a magic system has three components: source, channel, and effect, or for short, SCE. The source is the place where the magic comes from. The channel is who creates the magic, the effect is what the magic does. Here's an example. An old legend tells about a ring that, when being worn, gives the possessor the power to shoot elemental blasts. The ring is the source, the possessor is the channel, and the elemental blast is the effect. If, for example, we switch the source and the channel, we get a different magic system. In this case, the source of magic is deep inside the possessor. Maybe it has special heritage or something, and his raw power is channeled through the ring to shoot people with lightning. Now, of course, the source and the channel can range in scale from a few instances to almost everything in the universe. And that's a problem of granularity. This is a term that, in a technical sense, means the scale or level of detail in a set of data. So, coming back to our last example, the source can range from any living being, in which case the magic system is probably based on a chi concept, to any human, which can be explained as some sort of gift from a creator in the setting, to only humans with colorful hair, which, if you think about it, is an interesting idea. What will happen if mages start losing their power as they age and their hair turns white? The channel can also have different degrees of granularity. It can be a gold ring, which will be pretty unusual but not impossible to write about, a ring with a pearl, or something very specific, such as a ring with the holy pearl of Ilu on it. Usually, it's good to have the source and the channel have different degrees of granularity. In my example, the ring had a greater granularity than the possessor. Seems logical to me, there are more people than ring after all. This is why, given the fact that the source, channel, and effect can be each a multiple of things, there is a near infinity of magic system. But that is not all, because there are two special cases. One of them is when the channel is the same as the source. Based on our previous examples, here are two very common types of magic system in literature. The first one is when a person is both the source and the channel. This is what I like to call a godlike character, and in this case, all the limitation must come from the effects. The book of Rick Riordan, especially the Percy Jackson Heroes of Olympus and Magnus Chase series, are a good example. Here, the character's power comes from their godly ancestries. The main limitation is that they have some power only over their parents' domain. The second one is when an object is both the source and the channel. You may know these objects by the common name of magic items. Magic swords, invisibility clothes, protective amulets, they are everywhere in fantasy. Another interesting case is when the channel is also the source for another channel. I think an illustration will make it easier to understand. There it is. This type of magic system creates a whole new world of possibilities, and I'll talk about more about this subject in a future video. Before we move to the second part, I want to hear from you all in the comments about the most interesting magic systems you came across. And to keep the game fair, no Brandon Sanderson, I'm a big fan of him, but I feel like there are other wonderful writers of magic system that ought to be discovered. Now, we already have a unique magic system, but that is not enough for it to be perfect, it should also be logical. It's no secret you can make a magic system that lacks logic. Most superheroes, for example, are a bunch of random powers packed with a cool suit. But even there is some sort of logic. For example, a serpent themed superhero is expected to be very flexible and have a venomous bite, not to shoot webs. And what makes magic logical? The effect, or to be more precise, the granularity behind the effect. In my example, I use elemental blast as the effect, but there are many elements. On a different level of granularity, there are, for example, earth blast, fire blast, air blast. Using different levels of granularity, there are four possible variations. 1. One source, one channel, multiple effects. In this case, logic comes simply from the fact that the different effects are simply subdivisions of the same effect. This is what elemental magic systems use. An ice mage can make many different things with ice, but all of them are subdivisions of cryokinesis. 2. Multiple sources, one channel, multiple effects. This is the real secret of great magic systems. If both the source and the effect vary, then there must be a logical link between them. Using the elemental blast example, the ring with the brown stone corresponds to earth, the red stone to fire, and the light blue stone to air. If the reader knows the rule of your magic and in your book appears a ring with a green stone, he can make predictions about the effect. Istari in Tolkien's Legendarium, Small Science in Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse, and the Warrens in Steve Erickson's Malazan Book of the Fallen are all great examples. 3. One source, multiple channels, multiple effects. Pretty much the same thing as point 2 except replace source with channel. My example, one ring but different powers depending on the hair color of the user. I want to highlight the fact that unlike number 1 here the effects don't have to be the same at a lower granularity. I bet you can easily picture a magic system where the dark haired people can conjure shadows, the light haired ones can read minds, and the red haired can increase their strength. An example from the fantasy literature is the One Maker series by Elma Sessa. In this series, the One Makers create ones with different powers such as tracking or seeing the future, but only one maker can use those items. 4. Multiple sources, multiple channels, multiple effects. In our last example, granularity plays an essential role. Why? Because there is always the risk of accidentally creating different magic systems, which is totally fine as long as you don't pretend they are unitary. But if you do it right, you will have a truly special magic system, so special I couldn't find examples of such a system, so if you have, leave them in the comments. Anyway, you have to think of your magic system as a function. If you want a hard magic system, show it to your readers. If you want a soft magic system, don't. See you again in the next episode where I'll talk about Catalyst, Foci, hierarchical magic systems, and many more. And if you enjoyed this episode, do not forget to like and subscribe.